What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's raining something beautiful outside, which hopefully will translate into some good sleep tonight. Anyway, what is the date exactly today? Currently the 21st. Okay. So 4 days ago, we were supposed to get a new Marvel series on Disney Plus. It was supposed to be in the Star section. It was supposed to be an animated series based on the character of Hitmonkey. But we didn't get it. So I'm going to read to you why that was and when we can expect it. It's a little disheartening, but yeah, it is coming. We just have to wait a little bit longer, so it's not going to be able to be in my favorites this month, which is sad. Sad days gives us the big sad. But anyway, so there's a Disney Plus Informer.com link down below if you want to read the article yourself. But the bit I'm going to read to you, for you, so you don't have to worry about it, is in the little section where it says, when is Marvel's Hitmonkey coming to Disney Plus? There is a bit that says, if this report is accurate, where the word report is a link. The link takes you to badtaste.it, which is an Italian website. That's what the IT stands for. You know what, I will read this. So it says, today, this was posted 3 days ago, today Marvel's Hitmonkey was scheduled to arrive on Hulu in the United States and Disney Plus in many regions internationally. This happened in the US, but many other countries didn't receive Hitmonkey as expected. It was expected to arrive in the UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and many more countries on the 17th, but didn't happen for some reason. Disney has not acknowledged why it wasn't made available for streaming as of yet. Reportedly, the delay happened due to some international dubs not being ready in time. This doesn't quite explain why Disney would skip the rollout on those primarily English-speaking countries, though. If this report is accurate, we might not see Hitmonkey arrive until a later date. They put the 17th. The report actually lists a later date than that. But yeah, it says until January 17th, at least in some countries. I do have the report here. Now, like I said, it is in Italian. Lucky for you. Yes, I accept the cookies, thank you. Lucky for you, I did 6 years of Italian. That being said, I haven't spoken Italian much at all for the last 10 years. So while I'm gonna have my pronunciation basically perfect, my speed may not be up to scratch, and there are some words, obviously, because I only studied it at like a high school level, there's going to be some words that I don't pronounce correctly at all because I didn't learn them. But it reads, I'm going to flex a little bit, so it's my channel, I'm allowed to. So it says, Hitmonkey, la nuova serie animata Marvel e Hulu è stata posticipata a gennaio. La serie sarebbe dovuta uscire il prossimo 17 novembre a cadenza settimanale, ma verrà invece rilasciata nella sua interezza il prossimo 26 gennaio. I'm gonna just sort of let that linger for a second. 26 gennaio. Non è stato comunicato l'effettivo motivo del rinvio, come nel caso di Modok. Anche questa serie sarà esterna agli eventi del Marvel Cinematic Universe. e arriverà nel nostro paese nella sezione Star. La serie è stata co-creata da Josh Gordon e Will Speck e prodotta da Joe Quesada. Gordon ha descritto il protagonista come un personaggio violento e dalla forte temperamentale, ma anche profondamente ferito e innocente. Al centro della trama c'è una scimmia che, dopo lo sterminio della sua comunità, I did get all those letters, cool, unisce le forze con il fantasma di un assassino americano e insieme iniziano a farsi strada tra il mondo della Yakuza. Jason Sudeikis interpreta Bryce, un assassino che ha compiuto delle scelte negative e annega il suo dolore nel lavoro, viaggiando e giocando d'azzardo. Dopo la sua morte, il fantasma di Bryce collabora con Monkey per andare in cerca di vendetta. Bryce è un terribile mentore con una prospettiva cinica sul mondo, anche se deve cercare di completare la sua missione e aiutare Monkey a diventare chi dovrebbe. Now, I know. You don't understand a word of that. And that's fine, because this is me flexing. And this is what it actually says. I've Google translated it for you so you don't have to. Hitmonkey, the new Marvel and Hulu animated series, has been postponed to January. The series should have been released on November 17th on a weekly basis, but will instead be released in its entirety on January 26th. So that's what the 26 Gennaio was. So 26 is 26, 26, and then Gennaio is January. The actual reason for the postponement has not been communicated. As in the case of Modok, this series will also be external to the events of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will arrive in our country in the Star section, where our country is literally any country that doesn't have Hulu, which is all of them, because Hulu is exclusive to the US. The series was co-created by Josh Gordon and Will Speck and is produced by Joe Quesada. Gordon described the protagonist as a violent character with a strong mental temper, but also deeply wounded and innocent. At the center of the plot is a monkey who, after the extermination of his community, joins forces with the ghost of an American murderer, is what they've translated assassino to. Assassino is it's just assassin. So an American assassin, and together they begin to make their way through the world of the Yakuza. Jason Sudeikis plays Bryce, a killer who has made bad choices and drowns his pain in work, traveling, and gambling. After his death, Bryce's ghost teams up with Monkey to seek revenge. Bryce is a terrible mentor with a cynical outlook on the world, even as he must try to complete his mission and help Monkey become who he should. So, the 26th, which is Australia Day. In Australia, obviously. Now, the part that I want to sort of focus on for the rest of this video is the part where it says that, like Modok, this is going to be external to the MCU. Because while the MCU is still currently Marvel's main focus, we do know that there are some titles being discussed at Marvel Studios with Disney that will be Marvel movies but not MCU movies. The main one that I can think of off the top of my head is there is talk of a Stan Lee biopic in the works, which is, I mean, that's been internet fan fiction forever. I do like the idea of casting, now I can't think of his name, Bryan Cranston as Stan Lee. There is pictures out there, I'll see if I can find one. It looks pretty good. But no, the bit that I sort of wanted to mainly focus on from that bit is that with the multiverse being a thing now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and especially at the moment with what looks to be all of Sony's Spider-Man films consolidating together in No Way Home, it seems like, and there's theories out there that the staging of what appears to be the final battle on the Statue of Liberty could potentially be where X-Men come in to the Marvel Universe, where mutants come into the Marvel Universe, because Kevin Feige's first Marvel film, where he was an assistant producer, an associate producer, was 2000's X-Men, where the final battle was on Statue of Liberty. So there's a couple of people theorizing that, like, well, we see a big explosion in the trailer at the top of, you know, assuming, like, it seems to sort of emanate from the torch of the Statue of Liberty. Or what if the cracks and then Doctor Strange's "I can't stop them from coming through" line is referencing mutants and all of the Fox properties flooding in. Obviously, the first one that's going to actually be looked at in depth will be the Fantastic Four, so it'll really be up until December 16 to actually see what that is, and then potentially, if that doesn't give us like definitive answers, potentially until the Fantastic Four film, before we actually find out. But it does also sort of raise questions. I know what I want to say, so I'm just gonna quickly Google search and look at it in my recent searches, because I am trying to get to a point here, I promise. Bring up the Wikipedia, fictional character biography, cool. So, fictional character biography for Hitmonkey. An unnamed assassin blows up a squad of enemy soldiers as part of a failed political coup. Marked for death after 4 days of fleeing for his life, he passes out in the snow and is rescued by a troop of Japanese the monkeys that are near the hot springs. Macaques? I don't know. Anyway, with the exception of one monkey, the troop accepts the assassin into their clan. The man knows that he is still hunted, so he trains daily using snowmen as training dummies. Quietly, the monkey that distrusts him watches and learns the assassin's skills. The assassin's health fails, and while the troop tries to save him, the lone monkey objects, eventually fighting for the rest of the troop with his newfound skills. Eventually fighting the rest of the troop with his newfound skills. Because of the violence he displays, the monkey is banished from the clan. Now on his own, the monkey sees a group of men on their way to kill the assassin. He tries to run back to warn his tribe, but he's too late. The men kill the assassin as well as the rest of the monkeys. Furious at his clan's slaughter, the monkey picks up extra guns from a bag and kills the entire group of men. Determined to avenge his fallen tribe, the monkey now dedicates his life to killing assassins under the alias of Hitmonkey. A little bit different, obviously, in the show. In Deadpool number 19, Spider-Man finds a local shop owner brutally murdered. Having seen Deadpool in New York earlier, Spider-Man suspects he's the killer and fights and catches him. Deadpool claims he has an alibi, and after examining the crime scene, says only one assassin could have pulled off the job so flawlessly: Hitmonkey. Hitmonkey is known for killing other assassins, and so they realize that Deadpool is likely on Hitmonkey's hit list. Spider-Man reluctantly teams up with Deadpool to catch him. After killing some dirty cops, Hitmonkey follows Spider-Man in order to find and kill Deadpool. He accidentally shoots Spider-Man in the fight and seemingly feels bad about it, showing that he's not just a ruthless killer, but a killer of known assassins. Trying to capitalize on this moment, Deadpool attempts to kill Hitmonkey, but fails and is shot several times. Hitmonkey leaves him for dead, apparently not knowing about Deadpool's healing factor. Deadpool then pretends to be Spider-Man and fakes his death. At Spider-Man's funeral, Hitmonkey comes to pay his respects, thinking that he killed him. Deadpool jumps out of the casket to kill Hitmonkey, but Spider-Man's rendered both fighters' guns unusable, so they can't kill each other without blowing themselves up as well. Deadpool doesn't care and pulls the trigger, seemingly killing Hitmonkey, but surviving due to his healing factor. Nevertheless, Spider-Man reveals that Hitmonkey did survive, or at least that his body was not found. He later returns for a short cameo. And then, as part of the all-new, all-different Marvel event, he appears as a member of Speck's Howling Commandos. He later joins Domino's incarnations of the Mercs for Money, and he's seen with the Howling Commandos when they help Old Man Logan rescue Jubilee from Dracula. But the fact that a lot of his appearance was in a Deadpool title, and that he ends up going on to being part of Speck's Howling Commandos, which, among other things, with Warwolf, a zombie form of Jasper Sitwell to Marvel Zombies, Vampire by Night, Man-Thing, Hitmonkey is in there. Yeah, they're sort of a supernatural, they're essentially like the supernatural sword or shield, but this one is Speck because you Speck a vampire, and it stands for Special Threat Assessment for Known Extra-Normalities, which if we're getting a Midnight Suns, we could potentially get a version of Speck in the MCU. So it doesn't, and with Deadpool, we know coming to the MCU, it doesn't make sense for this show, other than the fact that it's animated, it doesn't make sense for this show to be left outside of the MCU. Furthermore than that, What If is animated, so, you know what I mean? Now in Modok's case, yeah, it's a funny show to just sort of sit back and have a laugh and be like, he's a floaty head, like, it's funny. He's a floaty head that thinks he can do science good, but can't. And it's just sort of funny if you want a stupid laugh. I'm kind of glad that that show is not part of the MCU. Hitmonkey, on the other hand, the animation for it looks tight. The story seems to be, you know, like it's there. He could be, you know, he's fighting the Yakuza. They could make a Hitmonkey reference in, you know, because obviously they would have been working on Hitmonkey while they were working on Hawkeye for the US to already have the show, and Hawkeye's not yet out. So they would have been working on them and around at the same time. It wouldn't have been that hard to chuck in a reference. Be like, oh yeah, no, the weirdest thing I saw while cutting down criminals during the blip was a monkey shooting people. Like, quick little, there it is, it's a mention, move on, and then all of a sudden he's canon. And then you actually give him a cameo in Deadpool 3. Not that hard. He's then in the MCU. The show can exist as the show does. But yeah, it. But no, the other thing too with the I know I got sidetracked, but the other thing with the multiverse part that I was talking about is a lot of people are like, well, the Netflix shows are coming in. there's a lot of people thinking that Kingpin might be the sixth member of the Sinister Six. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case, but it could be. He could also appear in Hawkeye, because in the comics, Kingpin has a connection with the Tracksuit Draculas, which are in one of the trailers for Hawkeye. So he's kind of like the character himself, through comics precedents, exists in some state within the MCU now. Daredevil could potentially be, defending Peter Parker in No Way Home. A lot of people think that. I must admit, it would be kind of cool if that is the case. He could also, however, show up as someone on the opposite side of the courtroom, being either the is it litigating? I'm sure that's like the offense or the defensive, whatever the opposite side of a particular court case that General Officer is working on. That lawyer could be Matt Murdock. And so we might get Matt Murdock, not necessarily Daredevil. But then, and this might be more of a season 2 thing, she actually has to work with Daredevil, discovers that, you're that lawyer, so professionally during the day, I'm going against you, but then at night, I need your help to do this thing. Could be a kind of cool little thing just to figure out. But yeah, point basically that I'm trying to make is that there are at the moment rumblings around on the interwebs that we are getting some of the previously non-canon characters brought into canon with the same actors playing them, but not necessarily the same backstories. They'll get sort of a refresh, they'll get a retcon into the MCU. So same people, same characters, different backstories, so that their backstories fit within the MCU. And that could be kind of cool to see, especially if we are headed towards these Secret Wars. And yeah, I mean, if they brought in Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Punisher, even if it's just those 4, you could just substitute Iron Fist for Shang-Chi, and he's already there. And then you've still got your master of the martial arts. So it could still work out. Tarlo could be one of the 7 cities of heaven in the MCU, meaning that there could be a later moment to introduce the MCU version of Iron Fist. You could also make that a team up with Fat Cobra and I'm blanking on literally everyone else's name. But Fat Cobra's a sumo wrestler. He's kind of cool. But you know what I mean? That could be really cool. And maybe Shang-Chi with the 10 rings becomes one of the immortal weapons. That could be kind of cool. Especially because the 10 rings did for his, made his father immortal. So, yeah. And then, yeah, so it just sort of brings into question, with the multiverse becoming a thing, how are they going to keep fans from being well, now it's all canon, it just exists in a separate reality, meaning that at any point, if Kevin Feige was you know what, Chloe Bennett's Quake was really popular, let's bring her in, because she was in a show with Coulson, who is MCU canon, and we were recently re-reminded of that in What If, where Coulson was voiced by Clark Gregg. I'd like to see that, especially depending on how they go about explaining Miss Marvel's powers, because she in the comics is an Inhuman as well. I don't know, especially now they've got mutants, I don't know if the Inhumans are going to make MCU debut anymore, especially since the TV show is not canon. God. But yeah, I just think, yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do there. But yeah, the big sad, we have to wait until January, because obviously whoever's running the content upload at Disney Plus is just being like, well, we've got the English version, so we could give it to like all the countries that have English as their main language, and then just continue working on the dubs for everybody else. But then they're like, nah, like that. Hulu members get access, which means that if you want to watch it right now, you do need a VPN. I'm probably just gonna, to be completely honest, probably just gonna wait till January. I mean, I've only gotta wait another week, and then I can see out the rest of 2021 with Hawkeye. And that's not to mention all the really cool stuff coming next month as well, plus the fact that hopefully I will find out within the next week whether or not I've been accepted into AFTRS, so then that's going to be preoccupying me as well. So it's not like I'm going to be sitting around being like, what do I do? I will find out within the next week what I'm doing. It's business end of the year, so yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's sort of my little rant. Basically, I question why Hitmonkey's not a part of the MCU, because there are plenty of places where he could fit in. You know, like with Steak, we're gonna get them. You know, we're getting Blade. We're getting Moon Knight. Black Knight might potentially be a part of that. All you've got to add into that is like Doctor Strange, so you've got or Scarlet Witch, so you've got a magic user on the team. And then you bring in Werewolf by Night, who will, I think, be in the Moon Knight show at some point, even if it's just like a one episode thing. And you bring in Ghost Rider, who's like the only other member I can think of that would need to fill out that team. And you've got your Midnight Suns, which sets up Hitmonkey for being part of Steak. He could be in the Deadpool movie. You could have a mention in the Hawkeye show as being someone who hunts other, you know, criminals. Puts him in the same vein as Punisher. Whenever we get John Bernthal's heroic return to that role, there's just a whole heap of places where he could fit in as just like a minor character in the same sort of way as like Howard the Duck. Like, he doesn't have to be a main character. We don't necessarily need a movie on him. He was a character introduced in a one-shot. He had a 3-book arc in Deadpool from issue 19 to issue 21, and that was You know, like that was about it. And then he made a couple of other little appearances. He only needs to make those little appearances to still be canon. So I don't get it. But yeah, like I said, the multiverse is a thing. Maybe at some point, depending on how well received the show is. And obviously we're gonna have to wait till January to find out how well received globally the show is. But depending on how well received it is, it may make Kevin Feige and Victoria Alonso go, maybe we should bring this character into the MCU. So, because ultimately, if that's going to help sell tickets or drive subscriptions to Disney Plus, they're going to do that. That just makes good business sense. Anyway, that's my little rant. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button, and while you're there, ring the notification bell to turn the post notifications on, so you can be kept up to date when I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up. Once again, links in the description down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.
You